Hello everyone. My name is Joy and welcome to my little corner of the internet. In today's video, I'll be drawing fan art of anime boys from animes that I have watched. I will be starting off with Okaran or Ken from Dandadan. I decided to use this illustration of Okaran as my test subject. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to draw anime boys. And so I just needed not to overthink it and just start. My aim for this particular sketch or this illustration was to just capture his likeness as best as I could. This is the first time that I have drawn this whole year, apart from maybe some doodles here and there and some fashion sketches because I also make clothes. This is the first time that I have sat down to draw this year. I think the last video that I made last year was probably the last time that I drew as well. So this is like my getting back into it. I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. I just wanted to draw. After my line art and shading, I didn't quite like it. But I realized it was just because of the overwhelming white of the page. So I decided to try something out. I had a couple of poster colors that I had taken from my brother, which he used in high school. So I decided to use it, just test it out on a scrap piece of printer paper, the exact paper that I cut this one out, to see how well it takes the paint. And I got distracted, and so I left it on the drawing. And by the time I came back, it had seeped through onto my drawing. I decided to use that same color for the whole thing. And since I already done the line art before doing the painting, it made the line art look very faded. So I had to redo the line art and do some minimal shading and use my correction fluid as highlights for his eyes, and we're done. And so we are moving on to Saitama. Anime was something that I got into quite recently, I would say. 2023 to be exact, when one of my friends tried to get me into watching anime so that he can have someone to talk about it with. And let's just say it worked. It worked. I became an anime fan from there. I wasn't necessarily averse to watching anime before then. It was kind of hard to get into series, just watching series in general. So I preferred movies. I preferred finished webcomics. I preferred K-dramas with just one season because I was the kind of person that would lose interest before the next episode or the next season comes out. When I watched Demon Slayer, I loved the art style. The art style was what pulled me in. Then the story. Then the character of Tanjiro, of course. I loved him enough to root for him. I thought, anime is not that bad. And so, because of that newfound zeal, I tried to get into another anime. I think it was a slice of life. I don't quite remember. I didn't like it. So I decided, for the meantime, I'm just going to stick to action animes. Although now I have found some slice of life that is mixed with action, and I feel like, it is a good balance, like Spy Family and Body Daddies. When I first placed down the colors for Saitama, I was terrified because it did not look good in my eyes. But when it dried, it kind of was okay. It dried fine. So the main reason I made this video was honestly to rant a little bit about life and plans. If anyone is curious enough to check, the last time I posted was like last year. I had recorded myself speaking on what I had initially wanted to talk about, but it was kind of too depressing, and so I'm not going to be using that audio. But I wanted to rant about plan. So there's this program that I applied for last year, and I was expecting that, by January, they would have called me, I already packed my things to be able to move them easily, and it is April, and I've still not been called. So my life is literally in like a limbo. There was this particular day that I was kind of down, honestly. I felt purposeless. Now, as a Christian, purpose is the one thing that gives you life. The one thing that just keeps you going. And I feel like as I'm just in this limbo, I feel like I'm not fulfilling purpose. I feel like I'm not doing anything in my life. Because I have made plans. My plans, I'm not planning. They're not working. So this is where I kind of ruined his head shape. I gave him a jaw by accident. By the time my brain clicked that he probably should not have a jaw, it was already too late. And I was doing this with a pen, the pencil sketch. He didn't have jaws. I don't know what I did. It was an accident. I panicked a little bit, but I was like, the show must go on. So there's Saitama from One Punch Man. He's still my favorite character from One Punch Man, even though I ruined him. This is Hibino Kafka from Kaiju number 8. I love this man so much. I love this man. Oh my god. The one thing that I have noticed since getting into anime is fan service. To be honest, I don't think I can honestly say much about it because it existed before I got into watching anime. I'm just going to outrightly say that I'm not their target audience. In some of these anime that I have watched, it is subtle. Like in Kaiju number 8. Honestly, I don't think it existed in the season 1 though. I have not watched the season 2. So it didn't exist in Kaiju number 8. It was there in Demon Slayer, but it was kind of subtle, you know? It was not the main focus. In One Punch Man, it was also there, but it wasn't as much either. But you see Dandadan in Dandadan. That was, oh my god. That was honestly almost the entire content of the season 1. I have not watched season 2 either. But the season 1, it was everywhere. It was not subtle at all. It was just in your face most of the times. And sometimes I had to intently focus, put all my attention on the subtitles to just avoid looking at what they are serving me. Speaking of fan service and slice of life, there was this anime that I watched, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I'm not going to say that I hated it, but I'm not also going to say that I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, the only reason I stuck with it, I was taking out my braids and my hands were tied. And I know that if I stopped watching it, I'm never going to watch it again. But the truth is, I don't know how necessary the sexualizing children is, to be quite honest. I don't know, making fan service about children? I don't know. It feels like we are permitting pedophilic behavior. Or maybe I'm just reading way too much into this. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. If you have watched Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, just tell me what you think. Now, because I did the coloring of Saitama, then, let it dry as I continued on. Kafka was the next character I was going to draw. And so, seeing the way the colors went down on Saitama's paper, I was kind of scared. I was like, let me just do the lineup first, then, we would think about what next we would do. So I ended up just using the poster color only for the background. I just mixed an ultramarine blue and yellow green to get the background. Now, I had also made plans for this YouTube channel. I had planned that when I get the thing that I applied for, I'd obviously be moving away from where I currently am, and that would definitely make it harder for me to film. So my plan was that I would go more into screen recording because I'm a digital artist. That is honestly, that is what I used to. But a couple videos ago, I had mentioned that my laptop, which is I used to do my digital art, just stopped responding to finger touches. I bought the laptop used already. I tried every single suggestion that you Google gave me, and none of them worked. None of them. And since the pen still works, I just think that the issue is not necessarily the screen. So at this point, I'm not sure what the issue is, and I felt really, really down when I realized that. So this is my life now. So if I start what I'm going to start, I know that I will not have an actual space for filming. I don't even know what I'm going to do. And I was so confused at that period because I thought, ooh, maybe YouTube is the way to go for me. This is a way to just express my art, express myself. I don't know. I don't know. It kind of just it failed me, and I'm a little bummed about it. And so we have moved on to Demon Slayer. The reason I didn't do two pieces of Demon Slayer illustration was because I was already drawing two people at the same time. And honestly, I know that it just seems like my favorite characters are the main characters. And to be quite honest, it doesn't really happen much in other media. At first, my favorite character is the main character. But after a little while, it kind of shifts. Well, to be honest, I got stuck with Tanjiro for how many seasons? 3? 4? I don't know. I've not watched the recent season. I've also not watched the movie that came out. I'm late to some things. Sue me. Rengoku is obviously my favorite Hashira. He technically is the first and only character till now that I have drawn from Demon Slayer. I drew him after I watched the Mugen Train arc, I think which was the second one. I think there are two other Hashiras that I kinda like now. The first one that found Tanjiro and recommended him to the person that trained him, and then the Mist Hashira. I guess maybe that's one of the reasons I decided to do anime boys instead of anime girls. I feel like I'm more comfortable drawing girls than I am drawing guys. But sometimes in media, I find that I like the guys more than I like the girls. I mean, I did watch Licorice Recoil, and I love that main character. I also cannot remember her name. But you know whose name I remember? Majima, the kind of villain of the series. The reason, to be quite honest, I really like Majima was their dynamic. The way that they are together. The way that they are born from the same thing, but they have two different ideas of what those things represent to them. Other animes that I have watched, I've watched Elusive Samurai. I also watched Kingdom of Ruin. I watched Ninja Kamui. I liked Ninja Kamui. Actually, I think it was cool to me. I also like Chinese anime, like Wu Liu Chi. There's this other one, Super Cube. There's some other ones too that I have watched. I love them. Actually, I really like Chinese anime. I like Chinese media, I'm not gonna lie. It might seem, because I say I like the action, that it signifies that I like all action. That is not true. That is not true. There is this very popular one. I cannot remember the name. I feel like it was adapted from a Korean comic. It was very popular. It was about them dungeons stuff. He saw this this holographic thing that appears in giving him new missions and whatnot. I tried watching that thing about 4 times. I never got past episode 2. I cannot honestly explain, so I just kind of gave up on it. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's good because a lot of people like it. So it definitely has to be good, right? And Jujutsu Kaisen, it's not my thing. I'm just going to say. I'm guessing maybe I would have liked it more if I gave it more chances, I guess. Also, Free Ren was more like a slice of life action type. It was a little too slow for me. For Okarin's superpower form, I struggled a lot to draw this. This is why it was one of the last things that I did, because just looking at that picture, it looked a lot more complicated. But when I was able to get the relationships between things, from his backpack, being able to divide his head into 3 equal parts and everything, it kind of flowed a little bit better. It turned out okay. I think my only issue is the correction fluid that I did use. When I was making that recording, which was about 14 or 16 minutes long recording, as I was still making the recording, a scripture came to mind. It's in Proverbs 3, 5-6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path." I know that not everybody here believes in Jesus. Not everybody is a Christian, and I understand that. What I'm trying to say here is that I'm not where I want to be, but I still want to encourage people listening. I still want to encourage you to hold fast. It's not looking at it presently. Your plans aren't going the exact way that you wanted them to, the exact way you imagined them to. And that's okay. It's part of life. It'll pass if you keep pushing. So do not give up. And to those that actually believe in God and believes in prayer, I pray for you that just like Job, we will have the strength to hold on until we see the end of that storm. And may joy never depart from our hearts, even during these times. In Jesus' name, amen. We're moving on to Hoshina from Kaiju number 8. I think I like a lot of the characters from Kaiju number 8. I love his teammates. I love their dynamics. I love their relationship. They just, I don't know, they fit in like family. I decided to do it the exact same way that I did Capcut, to just keep it uniform. So I colored the background, and because his eyes were this kind of purple, and this purple that I have kind of fits a little bit, and so I went with it. So this is my first time making a voiceover. I hate the way that I pronounce certain words that sound incoherent, which is not what I feel like I sound to my physical ears. I trailer a lot. I've done way too much takes on it, but I'm still going to put myself out there. And by that, I will hopefully get better. For this Hoshina's drawing, after using the colored pencil, the black colored pencil that I used for his hair and his mask, I saw that it wasn't dark, but I needed to make every other place a little bit darker. And so I pulled up a board marker that I use for making clothing patterns. And so that is what I'm using to make his hair and his mask need to be darker. And after that, I did a little bit of shading in several places with the pencil. And then I added highlights to his eyes with my correction fluid. And he is done! I loved the way he turned out so much. He's my favorite by far, next to Kafka, of course. And I still really love the way the first one turned out. Even though it was my test subject, I still loved it. And so my original plan was to make this into Polaroid-esque type thing. And so I cut up a 10 by 15 centimeters white paper, and I glued each illustration on them. I wrote the name of the movie, wrote the character that I drew, and the date. And so this is it. Let me know what your favorite is. Which one of them is your favorite? Have you watched any of these animes that I drew something from? Do you have favorite characters? Do you have an issue with fan servicing? Do you have anything? Is there anything you want to say? How was your day? How is your day going? How did your day go? How is the week? How is anything? I hope you liked the video. If you did, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. Please do suggest a really good anime. If you swear by it, I will watch it. Till next time, stay joyful. Bye!